Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Grev. I almost forgot my own name. Welcome to the Rip Roaring Reds. You're joining us after the 0-0 draw at the City Ground against Nottingham Forest. It's going to be a short, sweet pod. Well, probably not sweet. It's probably going to be short. It's probably not going to be sweet by any means. If it's your first time joining us, welcome to the channel. Please do give the channel a subscribe. Please do give the video a like. And please do leave a comment down below what you thought of this performance. I think I've only got one thing to say about this performance, Chase, and it was boring. But we're going to get into it, I'm sure. How the devil are you this evening, Jace?
I'm ready to go to bed. After that and work today. Yeah. It wasn't great, was it? But apart from that, I'm okay. Can't complain. How about you?
Yeah, I'm not as tired, but probably tired of this team and that performance. KO. Let's get stuck in then. Let's start as we always start. For those new to the channel, it's a Rip Roaring review. Tell me how you're feeling about Arsenal at this moment in time, Jason.
The word that comes into my mind, and first of all, want to state, like, I can always sometimes come across like acknowledge negative. I'm not in a negative state here. I'm just spitting out facts, which is, this is it. This is where we are. We just got to accept it and just get on with it. It's not a depressing statement. It's just a fact of where we're at. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be enjoyable. It's going to be hard to watch. It's going to be painful. You can almost, if we didn't care so much, we could just literally turn the television off and turn it back on in August. But we're not going to do that. We're going to be in the ground for the rest of the home games. But we just got to accept it's going to be a hell of a difficult watch, because this is just it's just hard to watch. And again, I'm not intentionally here being negative. I'm just spitting out facts. It's like that's what it is. It's just not a fun time. The only thing we can take from this is that we have a solid defense and we can take points away, but we can't score for love nor money. We have nothing going forwards, absolutely nothing. And so we just need to accept that we're playing for draws and we're fighting for top four. We're not fighting for the league. I mean, that was gone over by the weekend. That was fully written off. But we are genuinely in a top four battle. And that's the bigger problem we now really have to face. And again,
it's actually interesting.
I'm spitting facts here. This is me. I'm not depressed about this. I'm not upset. I'm just saying where we're at. This is reality.
You're saying it with a smile on your face through gritted teeth, James.
Yeah, no, but just like, what else is there to say right now? Like, this isn't like we talked about this. We hadn't even prepared categories tonight. We were like, oh, we just need to do this. We just need to get on with this. Like, it's just an on the whistle. It's just an on the whistle report from us on what we saw, which was, Jesus Christ, kill me now. That was it.
Spitting facts. I actually like. Yeah, I'm with you. I think there was a moment in the game where the commentator said there's still a lot of football left to be played, not only in this game but in the league in general. And I was like, oh, really? Like, I didn't want it. I didn't need it. I don't think anybody is that excited to watch us. I didn't mind this game so much because Forest at least played football. And that actually made the game slightly more open than other games we've experienced where we face a mid or a low block. But I wanted to, I'm going to try and take my emotion out of the situation, right, Jason? I'm going to say, look at where Forest are. Look at where we played them. So we were away from home. Look at our injuries. Like 0-0's a good result. 0-0's a good result. It's not a bad result.
I did think this. It came across my mind as I was kind of just thinking about a few pointers after full time, and I did think that. But the reality is, we have a higher expectation, and we lost to West Ham at home at the weekend, and Forest came to our house when everyone said, "Oh, you should be scared of Forest. They're playing really well," and we absolutely battered them. So yeah, I pinch yourself. I take it.
Yeah, I
But
mean, I'm not trying to I'm certainly not trying to be like, yeah, that's the silver lining here. I think my actual Rip Roaring review was going to be, so I had this callback. There's a moment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe when Thanos has snapped half the universe away, and then he goes to retire on his farm with a job well done, where he's like, he doesn't care anymore, the job's done and it's over, and he's like, he has that catharsis. And ultimately, after West Ham at home and after this game, I feel like sitting on my farm now that the job is done, because there's no more need to worry, Jace. The title is done, it's over. And for the last 3 to 6 months, both me and you have sat here and discussed, we're getting there. We gained a point. Liverpool just need to drop points. It's great. We're almost in the hunt. We're almost there. 5 points, 8 points, 9 points. And it's been very kind of like stop-start, a lot of injuries. There's times when Liverpool have dropped points. But let's be honest, we looked at their run of games against City, against Villa, and against Newcastle. We expected they weren't going to get any points from those games, or maybe 1 or 3. They've ended up with 7. We've ended up with 1 across 6. And we're so far beyond the pace now that at least I don't care so much anymore. And I think that is good for my health. I'm sure it's good for your health too, in a sense. You don't have to worry so much anymore. Like every weekend, like I said, sometimes my weekends will be ruined by dropping points because of what could have been. I don't have to worry what could have been anymore because I know it's not going to happen.
yeah, I mean, you just look forward to the burger.
I do. I look forward to spending time with my mates. I get to eat some good food. I get to have a day out. And if I get to experience play some all right football and score a goal or two, I'd be happy. But let's see. I'm not counting the eggs in the basket quite yet. Right. Like I said, we've not done topics or nothing. So I maybe wanted to, I'm going to try and start positive, Jace. I'm going to look at this game, and there was one player that stood out to me that was absolutely atrocious on Saturday and was hooked for it. So Declan Rice was hooked at halftime against West Ham because he just wasn't, I don't know what he was doing, to be honest. But in today's game particularly, I felt that he was probably the only player that I could call out from that lineup as someone that was trying, trying to pull the team by the scruff of the neck, trying to link the midfield to the front, or lack of front that there was. And I feel that he was probably the only player in my mind that stood out as someone that at least felt like he was there and should be doing what he's doing. He's a senior player, and I think this is what we need over the course of the last few games, is those big, mature, senior players trying to bring the rest of this team forward. And I felt that he, albeit we didn't win those games, he didn't score, but I felt that he was a ray of light, at least in a pretty dark time. I don't know if you saw the same thing that I did, if you would agree. I think he was our best player on the pitch.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think he had a point to prove. So, I'm not surprised. I think he holds himself to a very high standard himself, and he would have known. He would have rewatched. They would have rewatched that West Ham game as a group in the training ground. He'd have been able to analyse his own performance. He knows where he wasn't good enough, and I wouldn't expect any less from Deck. He's a true professional. He came out, he did what he needed to do, and he was trying to carry the team through that game, even at the end where he just tried to carry the ball and take it to him, but he just basically ended up putting it.
That part towards the end was annoying. He ran into a channel, but there was no one with him.
Yeah.
No one helping him, no one supporting him. And I know it's quite late in the game and it was quite frustrating. And there were a couple of occasions like that where we've seen over the course of this season players trying to bully their way down the wing by just trying to run into players and run through players to try and make space for themselves. It was, a frustrating evening for sure. But I think that at least it felt like that West Ham game was a one-off.
Yeah. One other positive for me initially, and just observation the first half, though, I must admit, I stepped away at half time and I came back just as the second half started. So I didn't actually see why Calafiori came off. But in the first half, I thought he was pretty decent. He was in the attack, in the opposition box a lot. He had hit the post. For me, that was a positive sign. He's actually quite an attacking threat. I mean, I don't know why I heard he got subbed. I saw clearly he wasn't there in the second half, but I didn't actually catch the reason he was subbed. Was it before?
I didn't. Well,
Injury?
no. I would assume it's because of the yellow card. He got a yellow card in the second minute,
Yeah, yeah.
and then obviously played. And let's be honest, I'm with you, Jace. Right, I agree with you. You know, if Marino's not working as number 9, which he's not, let's try Calafiori next. But I would say he was getting roasted at left back. He was. I think that they were going to exploit it. You know, there were times when he was still on the pitch that we were using Trossard or Deck to help support him because they knew that he couldn't do it on his own. And if he did, like that yellow card was incredibly silly that early on in the game. And I suspect Arteta was looking at our record of red cards across this season and probably thought it's safer, especially with Marsley Skelly, who can't play either. I'm assuming he's on a 3-game ban.
It was straight red, wasn't it? The yellow was rescinded and it went straight red.
Yeah, so I'm assuming it's a 3-game ban that hasn't been appealed, as far as I can tell. Yeah, I suspect it's only for that reason. But I agree with you. Like, even you've seen he scored goals of that nature this season already. He is a big threat. He can work in tight spaces. He's got a peg on him for sure. He can hit it. Maybe I'm right in saying that maybe when Marino for me isn't working out, we'll do Calafiori next. What have we got to lose?
Hey, look, Mikel, I'm here. I'm cheap. You don't have to pay me much. I'll run around. I'll take shots from anywhere. I'm a greedy fucker. Sign me up.
Well, look at Chris Wood. You saw Chris Wood in this game, and it's just, I think that you said this on the last pod. You know, we were talking about how January is coming back to bite us because of the injuries. And to say that there's no one in world football that could have improved this side when I don't know how old Chris Wood is. He's got to be older than 30, right? I'm sure he's older than 30.
He's been around.
You know, he could do a job, and he is doing an absolutely bang up job in Nottingham Forest's side. And to say that we can't have someone that could do of that, he's 33, mental. It's just crazy. I still can't fathom it. I still can't get past it. It sits with me in my stomach every time I see a lineup come out that there was no one in world football that could have made this side slightly better.
Well, you keep seeing the rumours about like Firmino trying to get out of his contract and Arsenal want to sign him on a free. It's like Firmino, there's no chance in hell Firmino wants to come to Arsenal. He's just made all the money in the world in Saudi Arabia for a year or however long he's been there. You really, really think he wants to come back and help Arsenal try and beat Liverpool to a title? Of course he doesn't. That's just crazy.
Help us lose it. You can help us lose it.
yeah, exactly. Like it'd be like a covert agent undercover. There's just some crazy stuff going around. My problem, really, just to analyze this, is we've lost our identity with the injuries. Like our style of play is just, there isn't anything. I don't know what our style of play is in this current form, because we're kind of trying to be consistent in a way. You know, Marino is a Havertz replacement. You can see why that's stuck. I guessed it would stick as well. Trossard was kind of in and out of the squad anyway, so he's on the left. And then Ranieri, he's good, but he has got growing to do. And I think it is too much pressure to put all on him now. And so when you can't replicate the same level of performance as you're going to get from the people who would usually start in those positions. And I think as a result, it's just made, we're still controlling games because we still have the same midfielders playing, right? But the problem is it's side to side to side to side to side, because we just can't make any real progression. The amount of times we're just moving from side, like there's just no ability to make any progression. There's no intelligent run. I mean, the only intelligent run that sticks out was of Zinchenko, and he was offside. And arguably, he made the wrong decision there. I would have shot. But anyway.
Can I ask a question then, based on what you just said there? Because I agree with you, and I think I have an idea as to why it is. Martin Odegaard, since returning from injury, has not been the same player. has not been the player that has been the creative outlet that we have usually needed or required in games to unpick and unlock defenses. Granted, he doesn't necessarily have the connections. We talked ages ago about how Odegaard's creativity was effectively pass to Saka and let Saka score.
Yeah.
And now we don't have a Saka. And like you're right, Nwaneri has a lot on his shoulders. Do you feel that a lot of our detriment has been because of the drop-off of Martin Odegaard?
I think it's part of it. I wouldn't say it's the only reason. I think the fact that his drop-off and then not having Saka as well, because as much as Nwaneri has got a lot of talent and promise, he's dropped off a little bit in the last few games, I've noticed. And I think that's probably, he's come on previously and had a lot more freedom and been come off the bench and made a much more of an impact in a lot of the games. Whereas when you're starting and there's a pressure on, we played a certain style with slow build-up play, side to side. We're not a counter-attacking team. We're not able to, we're just not able to take players on. Teams are sticking solid at the back, and it's really hard to break down. So he's not had the opportunity. And then if you add the fact that Odegaard can't add any service to him anyway, it's a combination of all of those things that I think has impacted the drop-off on that side of the pitch. And I just don't think there is anything on the other side. Like there's no... There was Calafiori being in there, actually, I think visibly makes a difference. I noticed a lot more in the first half, a lot more attacks on the left. He was in there, he was getting forward in the box. There was a lot of one-touch passing and moving, which is great. But the reality is that Trossard's not been the same player in the last few games either. Probably not since, I don't think anyone, 3 games now since Man City. And yep. I would argue that I've not, it was like we maxed out everything we had. We emptied the tank in against Man City, and then that was it.
Yeah, I can kind of agree to some points that obviously having all those players out at the same time has left Martin Odegaard somewhat lackluster in the ability to create. I would just say that I feel he doesn't shoot anymore. I can't remember the last time, obviously he shot from that Zinchenko one. I had no other choice there. I think he probably would want to pass if I look at the way he's been playing as of late, because he seems quite goal shy at the moment. He's also back to goal quite often. I find him too many times in releasing the ball backwards rather than forwards. I also feel that he's, again, we've said this a lot before, trying to be too perfect or too clever. It's very Arsenal to kind of create that perfect goal or that perfect play or that intricate kind of style that we kind of have come accustomed to watching under Wenger and also under Arteta. It's just really kind of, I think it's quite an indictment of us at the moment and our identity and our style. The fact that we're looking for a goal to change a game, we take Odegaard off and no one's batting an eyelid. Yeah. That feels to me quite bad, in my opinion. We've kind of come to that because I think there's quite a lot of apathy now towards him as a player. There was a video doing the rounds after West Ham where it looked like, I think he was trying to create space, but it looked like he played the ball off and there was a run in the middle that he could have easily got on the end of, and he decided to go back post and kind of take a player with him. And it kind of felt, the argument was that he was somewhat trying to hide in the game rather than trying to go and make a name for himself and try and call himself out, which, I can see the argument for and against. But the way I look at it at the moment is you're asking players to step up. He's our captain, he's our senior, and he's just not doing it. And I know you've made comparisons before to like Bruno, for example, who's dropping man of match performances. Well, granted they're beating Ipswich at home. If I speak, I'm in trouble.
Look, Bruno is a great player, and as I said many a times, and I stand by it, he wasted his career at United. Come at me, I don't care. United have been shocking these last few years, and someone of his caliber, you could argue, should be playing for a team that's competing for trophies. But I would say that we thought that was Odegaard. I think he's had a bad season. Let's be honest, this is his worst season at Arsenal. He's been slowly on the incline ever since he's been with Arsenal. And I think this season, it's probably his worst season. And there's a number of reasons. Football ebbs and flows, right? And you've just got to look at the amount of injuries that have all come at once. It's not just one player one player can't turn it around themselves. It's collective of abilities, of intelligence, of mood in the camp. All of those things have to be right for us to be at our best. And I think you combine all the factors in at the moment, and we just have a perfect storm scenario. It's, it's so much that I'm not angry. No, you're laughing, but I'm not angry. Like we could say that there was a failure in the transfer window in January, but we didn't buy a striker. But genuinely, right now, if we'd have bought Ollie Watkins in, as an example, I'm sure he means we have a slight better chance than a goal threat. But given the variety of injuries we've had all year, including Odegaard, including Saka, we had a point when we had a bit of a mini defensive crisis, even though we were stacked with defenders and we played a really weird back four against Liverpool at home. We've had so many injuries and never really had our key players in their, all season really on and off. Like it's not like you can say they've all been playing at the same time. It's always one big injury. Would even a striker signing in January have made a difference, do you think? In the grand schemes of things of competing with Liverpool for a title? I think it would have meant we get a few more points on the board, but I don't think we were getting anywhere near Liverpool anyway.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right there, because obviously if Liverpool continue to win, it doesn't matter how many games we win, we're not catching them up. I think to your point, I look at the last 2 games, we've had 33 shots. We've had 3 on target. I think we'd almost have to say that Watkins would be scoring in both of these games and we'd have points on the board. Would those points matter in the league quest? No, you're right.
So club have made their bets. Now, the only gamble they've taken with the bets that they've taken is whether we fall out of the top 4. I am genuinely worried about that. That's the only thing on my mind. I can't quite put my feet up and say, right, season done. By the way, let's be honest, Champions League, that's done. I genuinely don't think we will get past PSV. Just because, it's not because...
Hot take, Jace, hot take.
It's a hot take, but here's my reasoning. We just can't score. You're not
going to win football games if you don't score.
Exactly. So it's that's the problem. There's just nothing there. Our tactic at the moment, and it even felt the same tonight. I was thinking of tonight's game, thinking about Leicester. And it was like, our tactic is control the game, keep it within the ballpark that we can compete, and hope the other team tires and we get something at the end. That's what it feels like. It felt like that against Leicester. It happened. West Ham tried it, but we conceded. So if you concede, you're already on the back foot. And then again, didn't get the goal. West Ham didn't tire. Tonight, Forest didn't tire, because the level throughout the Premier League is also increasing. You have in teams like Forest, like Bournemouth, Brentford, Brighton, all of these teams are like, the caliber and the quality of them is going up substantially. Some of these teams would be topping, dare I say it, La Liga and competing for Champions League places in the German league. We have a very competitive league, and we're just not actually at the level. I think we are going to have a bit of a fight if we can't get Saka and Martinelli back quickly. And that's just the reality.
Yeah, on that point, which was interesting. So because it's not a home game, I wasn't necessarily so clued up who we had next. We have Man United away.
Yep.
And it's I then look, and then I'm thinking wow, in the context of how things are going right now, it's not the type of game that I'd be looking forward to. We then have Chelsea at home.
Not looking forward.
And then we have Fulham at home, and it's like,
Reece can't play.
Yeah. I mean, he's out for the season anyway. But you're right in kind of saying that there was a podcast a few weeks back where you basically we should start looking down rather than up, because City were as close to us as we were to Liverpool at the time. And I don't know if you've looked, but the gap between, I think it's 10th and like fourth or third is like 4 points. Like, I know that we have a bit of a buffer. I think it's like 6 or so points. I can't remember off the top of my head.
That can go quickly, man. That can
well,
go
exactly. Like this could get really spicy really, really quickly. Yeah, I mean, us and City are we're 6 points ahead of Forest, and then we are 7 points ahead of City. If that gap were to close over the next 3 game weeks, the end of this league season, I mean, Liverpool are going to win this league by 20 points. I think that's genuinely the gap that's going to open up over time.
Yeah, I mean, we've got injuries, so I can see it opening up.
Yeah. So you're right to worry about that. We could be sitting here in front of you when we play Liverpool at Anfield in a top 4 race, and that could be. We were looking at that game going, that's going to be the title decider. It can now be a Champions League decider, and that's a crazy place to kind of look forward to from where we were at. The elation of beating City 5-1. Was it 5-1? It was 5-1.
Yeah, I said we emptied the tank. It's the thing is, like, again, I'm not angry. I'm smiling, I'm laughing because it's just a shitstorm, and you can't control it as fans, and even arguably the club within reason cannot control this perfect storm of crap that's flown our way. So, some things in life just happen. You just have to accept them, and you can go, right, let's brush ourselves off and go again next year. There's a lot of opportunity still next year. City are gutting their squad this season. They are going to be on a rebuild. Liverpool looks like they're going to go out with a bang and then lose their star players, so they'll have to fill in holes with Salah, Van Dijk.
I genuinely think Salah and Van Dijk are staying.
Okay, that's interesting.
Trent will go, but I think those two will stay.
And if those two stay, that's fine. I'm still also. It sounds really arrogant. No, I don't care if it sounds arrogant or not. I still believe we can go toe to toe Liverpool with a fit squad. We should have beaten them.
I agree with that. I don't think that's an opinion that's like mental. I agree with you. You look at if Liverpool lost Salah, 75% of their G&A this year have come from Salah.
Yeah,
he's got 18 assists, I think, and like he's just an incredible. Like when Haaland was robotic and won City the league, you just couldn't stop him. It's that level. Once they've got that type of player, there's no stopping them. And if you've seen what's happened to City without Rodri, you've seen what happened to us without Saka. If you see what happened to Liverpool without Salah, you'd be seeing the same thing. There's no way in hell they'd be fighting the same kind of challenge that we've been if they were losing those players.
Yeah. And let's just be clear, like, also, like, people will say, oh, I keep saying all the things about people basically, comparing, saying Cole Palmer's better than Saka, and like, you can't even put Saka in the Haaland and Salah bracket. Maybe we can't yet. Maybe he's still got more to prove. He's got to win something with us as well. I get it. But like, regardless of that, people need to recognize that all round, we have a pretty solid squad all round. And Saka still is one of our, if not our best player. You combine him and Odegaard and what we get in goals and assists from both of them during the season. Probably the total they get together as combined as what Salah is doing this season. And the fact is that we had Odegaard out for a very long period, about best bit of 2 months. And then as soon as he came back, within couple of weeks, Saka's out for 3 months or however long it's been. So it's kind of like, okay, so you're talking about 5 months of a season we're without these two players. You take that equivalent goals and assists that Liverpool were getting from Salah out for 5 months, they're nowhere anyway. So, it's okay for us as two players for one, but it's still a similar position, which is why, as I said, like, I'm just accepting of it, and I'm already excited for next year because that's the reality. We just have to look forward. I mean, the only thing I was thinking was Champions League. I remember when we were really struggling the last season at Highbury for top 4, and we won it like from Lasagna Gate with Spurs on the last day. We got top 4. Last day at Highbury. But that year we got to the Champions League final, and we had so many injuries, and somehow we managed to get to Champions League final. We didn't have a left back. We played all kinds of players at left back through that Champions League campaign. Matthew Flamini played left back that season, and we managed to get to a Champions League final. And so what I'm trying to say is there are weirder things that have happened. Like, we could still go on if you prioritize the Champions League and just try and put all your energy into it and try and scrape the barrel in the league to get top 4, but you put your energy into the Champions League games, it sounds crazy, but there is a world where you it's a cup knockout competition. Anything can
Are
happen.
you talking yourself back into it, Jay?
No, not that much. But it's the same way. Okay, let me frame it. The last few years, would you have expected Man United to win the FA Cup? If you said out of all the teams, who's going to win the FA Cup?
No, but you're right. Like on any given day, on anything, it's like, you're right. It's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it is possible on a given day. And if we'd have to try and get past PSV with the squad that we have, and then hope that we could get some element of Martinelli and Saka back for the games against Real Madrid, which would be more towards the end of March, early April. That's the only hope you've got. But hey, it's something to look forward to because there's nothing else to look forward to. So. Look
at that. He's back again. He's back in the room. Look, there's one thing I wanted to say. There's two things I want to end on, actually. That I just, when you were mentioning Cole Palmer, I have to say this. I saw an incredible stat today, and I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Over the last 75 days, Bukayo Saka has more goals and assists than Cole Palmer. And there was a little asterisk. Bukayo Saka has been injured 74 of those 75 days, which I just thought was incredible. And the second part I was going to say, when we were talking about players and injuries, look, right, our top 3 goal scorers are currently out injured. Between them, they've got 20 goals. In our assists ranking, our players that are currently injured are contributing 17 assists, right? So that's 37 goal contributions across this season so far that we are currently missing from 3 key players, Martinelli, Kai Havertz, and Bukayo Saka. Yeah. There is no escaping that is one of the fundamental reasons of why we are in the position that we are in. And can you tell from both me and Jace that it is somewhat emotive? Of course you can, because it's disappointing for the club that you love to be doing as badly as they're doing. And you can't get away from that fact. You are somewhat goading me into getting my hopes up for next season again, Jay. So thank you for that, albeit I don't want to get on that train quite yet. But I'm sure we will in only a matter of time.
Just earlier, you seen the new kits? They look great.
I think it's every year when you see a good kit, you're like, that looks like a good kit to win the league in. I think a gold badge on one of those lads would look nice after we've won it. Right. Well, I hope this gave us a little bit of catharsis, a little bit of release, and a little bit of event. It's been a short podcast, but hopefully an all right one with a mixture of positive and negative. Like I said before, if it's your first time joining the channel, welcome. Please do join us next time. If you're a long-time viewer, please do give the video a like. Please do leave a comment down below, and please do make sure that you give the channel a subscribe. And we'll be back after a rest in the FA Cup, as we need. And we'll be back again against Manchester United. Jace, if we've got people that are listening and not watching, what do you want those peeps to do?
Yeah, podcast provider of choice, please subscribe, whether that's Apple, Spotify, or another. And that means you'll get the latest episode in your feed as it's published. And if you are listening through that, give us a review, give us a star rating, 5 stars. Else, Grev gets sad. I'm already sad, so it doesn't matter. Right, we'll see you all again soon. Thank you very, very much. Yes, guys.
Come on, you!